My name is Brad Heath. I'm the host, as always. Just a little background on me for all the new guests, because I printed this off. Wanted to bring this up because our numbers are really climbing. And my name is Brad Heath. I'm the host, as always. And boy, did we ever. And we've got a great lineup for you coming into the fall. And we'll get you through what is supposed to be a pretty wet winter, evidently. My name is Brad Heath. I'm the host, as always. Just a little background on me for all the new guests, because I printed this off. Wanted to bring this up because our numbers are really climbing. And a big reason for that is the worldwide audience. A big shout out to all of our listeners up in Canada. Those numbers have exploded. Canada's going nuts. I don't know what's going on up there, but the Great White North, all the listeners up there, we appreciate you guys. Germany, UK, Costa Rica, Australia. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. You can see it's a worldwide thing. So we appreciate everybody. Catch us on Apple Podcasts. Spotify is another great place. iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts. Those are really the best places to go. And one of our guests, who's been a guest before, you can go back into the archives and you can catch Joey George, the UFO magnet in person, the one and only, is our guest tonight. But before we jump into that, just real quick, we've noticed that the algorithms on social media are slowing us down for some reason. They've retarded our signals. They've made it so that this is not getting out as much as it was for some reason, and this has been recent. This has been maybe because of the growth, the rapid buildup, I would say. So here's what we're asking. We're asking you to share it. So we'll post the link to Facebook, and you've got to come back, and you've got to check it there, copy that link, and go share it onto your socials. Help us get the word out. These are the kinds of guests that not only are relevant to the topics and subjects of today, but these are the experts. These are the people in the field. These are the people who are experiencing these things. And it's why we have them on. It's why we have guys like Joey on, because what he's able to do and what you'll learn tonight listening to this is going to blow your mind. And you're going to want to go follow him. You're going to want to go see the stuff that he's got going on, because there are some things that you can't explain. I watch them. I can't explain them. I don't know what it is. But there are certain people on this planet who I believe are here for a reason. And that's probably to help educate those of us who don't know. And this man is one of them. So we're going to dive into it. But I want all of the listeners to know a little bit of background on you. Now, they could always go back and listen to the first one. We're just going to touch on it. When did you really realize that you have this ability to maybe mentally tie in to whatever is out there, or to be able to call them in, so to speak? When did you know you had this?
Well, actually, not too long ago. It's been within the last 5 years that I really caught on to what I was doing, with the help of someone I saw on YouTube, actually, Mr. Robert Bingham, who they call the UFO summoner. For years, most of my life, I just thought I was in the right place at the right time thousands of times. Right. Right. What are the odds of that? Which didn't seem like a thing. But I was just watching UFO videos at one point on YouTube, and I came across this guy on total accident. It was just a video that popped up randomly next, and this guy's in the park somewhere in LA, and he's got hundreds of people around him. And actually, I think the first one I saw was him out on a pier with a couple of guys from another podcast, a couple of twins, but they're out on the end of this pier, and there's kids riding their bikes all around them, and they've got all the TV cameras and stuff, and so all the kids are curious, obviously.
Sure.
And so they're all circling around like, what's going on? And they're like, this guy's about to summon a UFO out of the sky. And they're all like, what? And so he did his thing, and they showed up. And so then I started, mass,
Wow.
watching his videos and binging Bingham, basically.
So it's not something that you experienced as a kid.
It is. I just didn't realize what was really going on.
Didn't know what it was.
Yeah. I mean, I saw them all the time. I didn't know that necessarily that I was probably the reason they were there.
What's your first memory of seeing something?
Oh, I can remember when I was about 4. not real clearly, but I could see lights in the sky that would just appear, 4, 5, somewhere around there. I just knew that they weren't airplanes, and I was, I'd seen those things at night. I wasn't used to seeing them during the day, so I knew they weren't right, and they would just appear and then be gone.
Right.
And I knew they weren't airplanes, so I didn't really think too far into it. It was just something that happened,
How many people have you come across that have the similar story like yours, or can do some of these things? I've read 5E, being able to call them in, UFO, UAP, whatever you want to call it. You found somebody on YouTube, but how many other people have you come across since then?
Physically?
Oh, yeah.
Not very many, really. Of course, a lot more of them pop up when I'm doing public things like this. Mindy from MUFON had come out to do a Skywatch with me a couple years ago.
Mindy Tout Fest.
Yes.
Yep.
And she brought along a guy who I think she had investigated one of his cases like she did mine, and he was another experiencer, and he had a lot of the same weird bird type encounters, hawks and owls and stuff like that. And he had pretty much the same story as me and had seen a lot of the same thing, even like the weird tagless cars that will drive by over and over 12 at a time in the middle of the night that are really creepy and put off this odd eerie feeling when they're getting close,
right.
And when they pass by, and totally blacked out windows and no tag whatsoever, just like a black spot where the tag would be.
Right. Gentry Anderson's talked about those vehicles, those potential MIBs or whatever they are.
I'm still not sure. We talked about this the first time. I still don't know if they're on my side or not.
Right.
It seems like maybe they are, but that actually brings up an interesting story, kind of along the same lines. When I was living in Sand Springs still, I was on the highway driving towards Tulsa, and there was a sheriff behind me, kind of a ways back, and I wasn't speeding or anything. Everything was legal on my truck. And he starts speeding up, and he gets right on my ass, and finally eventually turns his lights on. And about 10 seconds later, this motorcycle just flies past us. It seemed like he was going 200.
With the cop's lights on.
Yeah. He came screaming past us, and he was out of sight, like almost immediately. I don't know how fast he was going, but he was rocketing on by.
Right.
And that cop, took off after him, obviously, immediately. Right. And that guy was long gone before he even changed lanes to get it behind him, And right about then, I was able to turn off to the Broken Arrow turn off the highway and, get away from that. I don't know why he was pulling me over in the first place. He had no real reason that I know of. And that happened 3 times that day.
Almost like somebody's...
Like they were helping me out, trying to get my...
Almost like they're the bandit and Smokey and the Bandit. They're the ones getting that. Yeah.
I never thought of it that way, but yeah. Three different times, 3 different motorcycles, and I'm assuming 3 different riders. I'm not sure. I mean, they went by so fast I couldn't even tell you.
Yeah.
But it was definitely 3 different motorcycles, and I don't know what was up with that. So I think maybe that these weird cars or whatever, or any vehicle, are kind of keeping me out of trouble, or keeping other things away that may be trying to infiltrate me, or I don't know what.
You got to think. So
but thank you, whoever you were.
right. And if you could, just look out for me as well.
Right. I think anyone that I'm close to generally gets the same type of protection that I do.
But so you got to think though. So I've worked in the government. I've carried a top secret clearance. I've done these things. You got to think though that on some level, there's got to be a concern both ways,
Definitely.
Right? There's got to be a concern that we really don't want anything to happen to this guy, but there's also, we don't know what this guy's capable of or what he's bringing to us. So it would make sense that they would want to keep an eye on you.
Oh, definitely. I have a feeling that there's someone who knows where I am and what I'm doing 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
And that's, people want to call it paranoid or whatever. I feel it. I mean, I can walk out in the backyard in the middle of the night and it feels like I'm on stage in front of a packed BOK center.
Yeah.
With no one around.
Well, when you see things like...
Imagine what it's like when I walk into Walmart and there are that many people.
Yeah. Well, that's where most of the aliens are anyway. We all know that.
Definitely.
When you see like a congressman like Tim Burchett, a couple of months ago they had their big, UAP hearing.
Yeah.
When you see things like that, do you see that as a setback or do you see that as it becoming more and more and more mainstream every day.
It's definitely becoming more mainstream, but I think things like that are just no more than a soap opera.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not. They're not telling us anything new or anything at all, really.
Yeah.
I mean, like, was that the whistleblower guy? Supposedly.
Yeah, Gorsh.
Right.
So
I didn't even. I watched
Rush.
a couple minutes of that. Maybe I don't even usually bother anymore with that.
Yeah.
When they first started doing them, I was really interested, thinking,
Right.
maybe something's really happening. But it's just filler.
The most interesting thing I heard during that whole hearing was the cube that they talked about off the East Coast. I don't know if you've heard or read anything about the cube.
I have seen a cube before, so.
And Gentry's talked about a cube as well over the Arkansas River. Do you think what we're seeing is one group type, or is it just multiples who are visiting for whatever reason?
I think there's definitely multiple species or races, whatever you want to call them.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, they all have totally different agendas and seem to be interested in different things.
Is there a reason why we're hands off? Is there a reason why? Because other than, I mean, let's just break it down. So we know abductions, right? We know that's happened. Visitations, we know that's happened. Potential, probably crash sites, we know that's happened. Reclaimed or claimed bodies. But they've never attacked that we know of, right? I mean, there's never been like this armada of ships. I mean, so is there like a galactic rule that like Earth is hands off?
I think it's probably like that almost anywhere in the universe. I think there's some kind of law that dictates what you're allowed to interfere with, possibly. I mean, there's got to be something that something's got to be hands off. No matter what you're talking about, there's got to be some kind of set of guidelines for almost anything that you do, really. Or it would just be crazier than it actually is.
Right. Kind of like the
who makes those rules, that's up in the air. But
well, it was believed that Eisenhower met with terrestrials and made some kind of a pact or deal with them. They seem to show up also. You could walk in your backyard, have something show up, but they seem to be around if there's some type of
nuclear weapon,
a war, or some type of destruction going on. They seem to either show up for that, a big volcano eruption, or whatever it is, and it almost seems like it's just a monitoring situation, that they're not really messing with the outcome either way. But it just looks like they're watching.
Right. A lot of these different types of these beings, we'll call them. I believe that they're just like scientists, They're just here to study, just like we do. I've heard, I don't know for sure, obviously, but the Greys that have such a horrible reputation for abducting people and this and that, I believe that they're really just scientists, and they're just curious about what's going on, especially after the atomic bomb. That's supposedly when they started really showing up, and why wouldn't they be curious?
Right. and we have archaeological findings and carvings and paintings, and we have other things, texts that tell us that this is not something new. This is not something in the last century. This has been going on since probably before man was here.
Right.
I would think.
We tend to think of this as our planet. I don't think it ever was.
You think us as a species came from somewhere else?
I think so. We were either brought here or possibly made here. I don't really know which one, but I don't think this was ever our planet. Like people tend to think of it like this, we're here and then everything else is coming to us. I don't think it's ever really been like that.
Maybe so. Something completely out of our solar system, or something within our own?
Either one, really. I mean, I'm a firm believer that some of us came from Mars. I think that we kind of abandoned ship when whatever catastrophic event was that happened that destroyed their atmosphere. And I've heard stories about solar flares doing it, or possibly some kind of space war where something was overshot and kind of fried out Mars, maybe aiming for something else, or it was just like an after effect or like a residual side effect of whatever was done.
Yeah.
Or maybe we did it to ourselves.
Is Mars in the Aaron? Look this up. Is Mars in that life zone? There's like this
Goldilocks zone.
Yeah. So between the sun and the rest of the solar system there, you've got this band where life can exist, or life as we know it anyway. I don't know if, Aaron, look it up. Is Mars in that zone or not?
I mean, if you think about it, I mean, millions of years ago, you would think the sun would have been hotter, for one thing.
It was at one point, which is why there's frozen water.
Right.
But it is not now.
Because it lost its atmosphere?
It's too far away from the sun.
Even with an atmosphere, if we were to terraform it, it still wouldn't warm up enough?
Interesting. Well,
how do they really know that for sure, though, until it happens?
And you could,
if that's even really a possibility of creating an atmosphere there, which from the science of it, it sounds possible. They make it really believable if it's not. But you would think that having a denser atmosphere would, the greenhouse effect would collect more heat, and I don't know.
Yeah. It's an interesting topic because if you've ever looked at the images of Mars.
There used to be rivers and stuff.
It used to be, water flowing. I mean, if you were to just like clear the Earth and look at it, it would probably look pretty similar.
Yeah.
Now I know our oceans and things are really just crazy deep, and I don't know if they've got caverns that they're that deep on Mars, but obviously there was something there at one time. The moon is the other thing that I think is extremely weird. In fact, John C. Hoagland was on Coast to Coast last night, and he talked about how the colorization of the images of the moon had been kept from the public, and they remain black and white for a reason. If you've ever seen a picture of the mineral moon, it's colorful. Of course, our eyes, we see it. We typically see black and white, unless it's reflecting light. But the moon doesn't rotate; it stays stationary, and as it's
very odd
rotating around it, and that's kind of strange.
There's a reason dogs and wolves howl at that thing,
right?
I believe,
right? Yeah, they don't like the people living inside of it or something.
Something like that. I mean, there's something to it, obviously, but I mean, because all the dogs in the neighborhood will warn me right before something flies over where I am, and they'll either all go dead silent or they'll all be barking at once. Yeah. And then right after that, something will come by.
Right.
So
right.
I believe there's a reason why they howl at that son of a bitch.
Yeah. It's strange too because there's I don't know. It just depends on what you want to believe, I guess. But a lot of people believe Stanley Kubrick helped NASA with the moon landing and filming that. And we know, of course, I know everybody's a Rogan fan, and you've probably seen the clips or watched his podcast where they talk about it. But, Kubrick may have put a few things into The Shining that is kind of like his personal nod to, I filmed that, and it's all BS.
Or he's just taking credit for something that didn't really happen.
Right, right. I think the moon deserves more investigating.
Right. I've noticed a couple things about it. Like, I mean, I've taken millions of pictures of the moon and looked at it countless times with my telescope and all that. And I mean, it looks like if you were to look at the Earth at night, you can see Chicago from space,
right.
All these city lights and everything. I mean, it's obvious, but it looks to be that way on the moon too. To me, there's a lot of little light spots like that that don't really have any explanation of why they would be lit up like that more than anything else. Maybe they're reflecting more sunlight for whatever minerals or whatever they're composed of. But I mean, I wouldn't think that it would be that dramatic of a difference between everything around it and that one little spot.
Right.
And there's so many of them. That and I was looking at the virtual telescope online. I'm trying to remember the website it was on, but you can look at all the planets in the solar system and stuff like that. And I was looking at Mercury, which I've never really researched that much, It looks a lot like the moon, just the images of it. But I started, zooming in on the craters. It has all kinds of craters like the moon does. And I started noticing something, and who knows if this is true or not, but all the moon images and all the, people say that there's things in the craters on the moon. I've noticed that because I tried this myself. I tried inverting what looks like a crater and looking at it which I see things a lot different than a lot of people do. When I look at a crater, I can easily
like a dome.
Look at it like a dome,
right.
Or a hill. And when you turn it around that way, it changes everything. So, I mean, we may have been seeing I mean, it might have been right in our face with all these images that people have showed us over the years of the craters on the moon. I mean, they're probably showing it's exactly what's there. We're just looking at it backwards. Like those 3D pictures where,
right,
you know,
you got to stare at it. Yeah,
it takes me about half a second to see what's in one of those.
Yeah.
So if you transfer that over to anything like your wall here, I mean, you look at that foam that way, a lot of other things start to appear.
Wow. Yeah, that's a great point. And there's been so many different theories thrown out there. I like the one about, and this is recent, as maybe the last 20 years or so. They're talking about mining the moon, and as we get this push to have more electric vehicles, and they need more cobalt, and they need lithium, and all these other things. I could see there's companies right now that are trying to figure out how they get mining operations on the moon and a shuttle back and forth, right? Because they've cut the moon rocks and they know what's in them and they know it's valuable. And if something is that valuable floating out there just off to our edge of our atmosphere there, you got to think that everybody else out there knows too, right? And if it's stationary, and
maybe it's not valuable to them.
We can't see the backside. How easy would it be to have an operation on the backside that we never see? Right. So it's curious. You brought up owls, and not to bounce around on you and change subjects, but owls have been a topic that a lot of believers connect with.
They know things for sure.
Yeah. So what is it about? Because birds in general, they're like, they're miniature flying dinosaurs, basically. Birds in general are kind of weird. And there's some out there that are beyond strange. But the owl, for some reason, seems to be like the wisest of them all. Why the owl?
I wish I could tell you. I think about that almost every day, really. I've had so many owl experiences, but I really don't know. I'd love to find out. So if you ever do, let me know, please. Please.
Right. Well, if I get a chance to interview one, I'll let you know, and we'll get to the bottom of it.
Someone besides that Tootsie Roll one, I don't trust him.
Right. Yeah, he's a thief anyway. Yeah. Well, so I've not had many experiences with owls. I've had a couple. They're slightly unnerving.
Yeah, definitely.
They can turn and look, and when they look directly at you, yeah, it's almost like they're trying to tell you something, And
they have many times. I've had them predict several things in my life, some pretty big things that I got a visit from an owl right before.
And so is it? So when you get that, is it just the visitation or seeing one that lets you know, hey, something's coming?
Yeah, usually. One of the more profound ones happened right about the time of our first interview. I think it had happened right before that, maybe, where I had a friend over at the house, and she was getting ready to leave. I walked her outside, and there was like 10 of them, which I looked this up at one point, but I was curious what you called a flock of owls, because I've never heard of one before. Yeah. There's a name for it. I can't remember what it is now, but there's like 10 to 12 of these things making that, the monkey noises barred owls make.
That's crazy.
What was that?
I don't know. Aaron, you moving something over there?
But
those noises they make, you say, the monkey sound, it sounds like a damn monkey.
It sounds like you're in the jungle all of a sudden. And I'd only heard that maybe one time before. It was in Hakey Creek Park out in Broken Arrow, and there was, I don't know how many of them then, at least it sounded like 4 or 5 maybe, but that could have been all over the park,
Right.
This was all right over my house, flying back and forth from the tree in my backyard to the tree across the street, and it was quite a hectic sounding experience, and I'd never seen that many owls before. I don't know if anybody has, really.
What did you tell her? Did you tell her like
she was like, she jumped in her car and was gone, pretty much, and before I could pull my phone out and start recording them, they all dispersed, and that was it. But that was about 4 o'clock in the morning, almost on the dot, and I found out a few hours later that my oldest daughter had gone into labor at exactly 4.
Wow.
And had my first grandchild, and we found out that, I didn't find out for a few days, but 24 hours later, my friend's mom had this freak accident, and like fell or something and like vomited up blood until she passed away.
Wow. Jeez.
24 hours later. So, and people, a lot of, like, especially Creek Indians, if they see an owl, they're out of there because it means death is coming.
Choctaw as well.
Right.
Yeah, they don't.
Like, I'm a little bit of Osage, and they believe basically that whatever's happening during the experience, like whether it's something good or something bad, then that's going to foretell what you have to expect because of the owl visit. So if it's something good, then, whatever. And I think that's a better way to look at it than immediate death. But I have seen immediate death lots of times, too, because of one.
Yeah. Well, when it doesn't show up at your house...
Yeah, I mean...
You take notice.
Yeah, but, I mean, that was a little of each, you know what I mean?
Right.
And it's almost like her mom made room for my granddaughter to be here,
Yeah.
Even though it happened afterwards, 24 hours later. But
Yeah. Wow.
So it's not, that's just proof that it's not always something bad or evil that's going to happen because you see an owl.
Has all of this been...
I had one try and pick me up one time.
Pick you up, like from behind, like grab you?
It came right at me, and I guess it decided right when it got to me because I didn't even know it was there until it was right here. And that thing was probably this tall. It seemed way bigger than an owl should have been, but I mean, I know they get big, but I mean, its wingspan was wider than my arms are, probably a little taller than I am. And I had my headphones on. I'd walked a quick trip in the middle of the night, and I was walking back behind the Walgreens. It was on 111th and Elm, and I was going around behind the back, past the pharmacy, and was in the very back of the building going by the dumpsters and going right across the street right here. And I had my headphones in. I was working on a song that I was recording on my phone. And so I had my earphones in, and I'm looking down. And when I look up, it's right here already. And it got that close, and I guess it decided it probably wasn't going to be able to carry me off. So it like put on the air brakes. It flapped its wings one good time, and it knocked my hair back and about knocked the breath out of me. And it flew right over my head. And all that happened within a quarter of a second.
Wow.
Me realizing it was there to begin with, and it flying over me and disappearing off into the trees was all within a second or two.
The rest of the walk, were you looking over your shoulder?
For years. Not just the rest of the walk. And I always try and remember what might have happened right after that, and I can't really think of anything that significant.
Yeah.
I mean, I met a new girl, which actually we could get into that, but because I think she may have a lot to do with some of my more severe sightings. But that's going to be like a whole nother week-long show. So
Has any of this been a burden?
Not that I can think of, no. I mean, other than it's these feelings I get that kind of warn me when something's about to happen or will happen soon. I mean, that kind of gets not really irritating. It's almost like when you got a 3-year-old and they're constantly tugging on your shirt, asking you questions. It's kind of like that. But I mean, that doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
I mean, thank you for letting me know for giving me that gift, I guess. But I can't really say it's daunting or anything like that.
Does it at times?
Because I mean, I wait for those. I wait for that to happen. That's what I live for that stuff now.
Does it keep you up at night at times?
Well, I mean, that's when I do a lot of my work anyway. So,
because I know you got other interests. Obviously, you're a musician.
Nap arrowheads, like the one I'm wearing today.
Right. So, does it interfere with life, or is it just part of everyday life?
Like breathing. I don't really pay that much attention to. I mean, not that I don't pay attention to it, but it's just something that happens.
Right.
That I'm used to dealing with.
Yeah. Do you think that there's a direction that you're supposed to be taking this?
Definitely. I think you nailed it right off the bat in the beginning of this. I'm supposed to be the medium, I'm the guy that takes the initial shock away. In a way, I've got the hardest job of all. I'm the first one to go in and be like, so I got a story to tell you. You're either going to really hate this or really going to love it, but you're going to find out.
What's it going to take
before one actually is standing in front of them?
Yeah,
and it's like, hey, I'm real.
Is that ever going to happen? You think?
Yeah.
You think it will
Soon.
In our lifetime, or do you think
it happens every day?
We just don't know it.
Right. I've met a couple of interesting people over the last couple of years that pretty sure we're not from here.
Yeah.
And I think the main message I've only told this story one time in one interview. The main message I took away from that was that they don't like being called aliens. And beings is exactly what this girl told me that they prefer to be called. She said, well, the thing about that is, right after a comment my friend made, she said, well, she called them aliens because we were right in the middle of a conversation about whether or not they were living here among us.
Right.
And out of nowhere, we were parked over on Riverside. It was probably about midnight. We'd been at the casino, got out of there for a little bit, and out of nowhere, this girl pops up in my window right here. It's probably, I think it was like November, maybe late October. It's pretty cold outside. I had a coat on, and I'm inside my truck, you know. And this girl shows up at my window out of nowhere on a scooter. She had really short bangs, you know, and the rest of her hair was kind of like a haircut you'd expect a being to have. You know?
Sure. Yeah.
You know the ones.
Yeah.
And she's wearing a red T-shirt, and it looked like no pants. And she's on this scooter. It's freezing outside, probably 40 degrees. And like I said, I'm wearing a coat inside the truck, and she's just standing there in this T-shirt on the scooter, and she goes, "You guys want to come and play with us?" And I'm like, where did you come from?
Right.
And my friend said something about, who's that with you, your old man or something? Because I didn't even notice, but I turn around and look, and in the middle of the parking lot, there's this guy standing there facing away from us, wearing like a hoodie or something, and he's also standing on a scooter and not moving whatsoever and facing the opposite direction. And she looks up at the sky and she goes, "Well, my brother." And we both just sat there like, who answers a question like that? You know, that was really odd. And so anyway, she asked us again, "Well, we were just wondering if you wanted to come and play with us." This weird like puppy type tone, you know, and,
playful.
Right,
yeah.
Like the cartoons with the bulldogs, you know, it's like, "Hey, Spike, hey, Spike,"
right.
like that.
Yeah.
And my friend goes, she just snapped at her, you know, caught me off guard. I was like, "Whoa!" She goes, "Well, maybe here in a minute, but for right now, we're having a discussion that you so rudely interrupted about aliens and whether or not they're living here among us." And anyone else would have been like, you know, got the hint and either wanted to fight or left.
Yeah.
Got that
probably left.
from us.
Yeah.
She didn't miss a beat. She goes, "Well, the thing about that is," all of a sudden she went from puppy to million-year-old wise man. I mean, it just washed over, and there was no pause or anything after my friend said that and snapped at her. She goes, "Well, the thing about that is that humans are so quick to label things." And she goes, "They have a label for everything they ever come across."
Yep.
And she says, "When beings are all that we all really are and what we prefer to be called." And I'm like, whoa. So I didn't realize it, but I'm leaning in closer and closer to my window towards her as I'm realizing what's going on here, or what I think is going on. And at one point, my chin's like sitting on my window. I'm just looking her up and down. And the whole time, I couldn't get my mind off of it. It's like, is she wearing pants?
Right.
And I wanted to ask, but, you know, I didn't. I waited. Eventually, I did ask her. And she pulled up her T-shirt, and she was wearing the tiniest little black spandex shorts. And I was like, "Aren't you cold?" And she goes, "No." And I was like, "Okay." So she asked us again, "Well, if you want to come and play with us, blah, blah, blah." And I'm telling myself to remember like every detail of this conversation, because something significant is going on here.
Right.
And, you know, I finally asked her, there's a little bit of a pause, and I said, where are you from? Are you from around here? And once again, she looked straight up at the sky for about a good 5-6 seconds or something like that. And she comes back down, meets my gaze, and says, "Well, Glenpool." And I was like, "Liar." And so anyways, she said asked us one more time. She said, we'll be around here for a while if you decide you want to come and play with us." And we're like, "Okay, we will." And then she rolls off on her scooter and goes back to her brother from Glenpool.
Right.
And they kind of roll off over towards where the bathroom is, you know.
Yeah.
And then the bike path is right there in front of it. So they roll off over the curb, you know, out of sight behind that building, and we're waiting for them to either come this way in front of us or go off that way down the path. And we never saw them again. So as soon as she rolls off on her scooter out of earshot, my friend goes, "That was one of them, wasn't it?" And I said, "Hell yeah, it was."
Well, you know, 40 degrees might be summertime on her planet.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
And right after that, maybe a couple minutes later, you could hear a car stereo, you know, blaring probably a mile away or so, and you could hear it getting closer and closer. And they come screaming down the road, stereo cranked, and they whip it into the parking lot we're in, and park directly behind us, facing the road, facing Riverside. and the song that was playing was "Where I Come From." And that was just one more little cherry on top, And then they were only there 30 seconds, and they sped out of there and were gone. I don't know if that was them or if
Did it have a tag?
I didn't have a chance to look.
Yeah. If you just people watch, if you just go out into
one of my favorite things to do,
just in a crowd, just at the store, just wherever you're at,
you see freaks like me with pink hair.
Well, what you see is, I think you see, like I've made this comment, with my wife before we've been out, and I'm like, there's no way we're the same. Me and this person over there is the same, and it really has nothing to do with the color of their hair, or it's just you just look at people, and sometimes that there's something that's different about them. You don't know why, and I think it's why we're probably attracted to a lot of the celebrities and athletes and different people like that we are, because think about this. We are of the same species as Michael Jordan.
Right.
But we can't do what he does.
Hey, you never seen me dunk before.
I'm just saying.
I can't.
To steal a line from a movie where, the guy was talking about sitting at home watching Pele play soccer, and he scores a goal, and the crowd goes nuts. Meanwhile, the guy just got off of his job where he's a fry cook, and he's sitting at home going, how are we the same? Right. How are we of the same species? Our genetic makeup is similar, but he can do that, and this is what I'm doing. Right. So yeah, I think I think the possibility exists that there are beings who are here that are somehow cloaked in our own look.
Meat suit.
Right.
I believe they call it.
Well, that'd be a good name for it. Right. It'd be a good name for a movie.
Good band name too.
Meat suit. Yeah.
It's a good name for almost anything besides your wife. You probably don't want to call her that.
No. That's a good way to have an ex-wife pretty quick.
Well, maybe that's what you're into.
But
yeah, basically, the being that I talked to that night basically made it seem like calling them aliens was like calling them the N-word. You know what I mean?
Right, and I think for us,
and I catch myself saying it still, just because that's the term that everyone's used forever.
Well, so if you think about just that word,
but I think I was supposed to get that message out there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's another part of my little mission that, to spread that around, that we're all kind of the same thing, even though they're from a totally different place,
right,
time or whatever,
right,
maybe dimension. We're all still one kind of.
Well, when you take something that's not of, you have a base of whatever it is. And when you inject something into that base, that is an alien item, right, life form, whatever, that is going into that. And so I think that's why the term alien was coined, is right, because it's not from here. It's alien to this planet. And then, of course, they've piled on with other names and getting more specific with the types, right, of beings, aliens, that potentially exist. I think it's interesting because we had mentioned, what's it going to take? It's going to take, someone showing up, arriving, landing, getting up, getting off the plane, so to speak, and going, okay, we're here. Are we ready for that? Can we handle that?
Yes.
You think so?
Soon, anyway, very soon, because of people like me, especially, that are kind of the mediators that are kind of warning people in a way, like. I mean, and it usually takes me actually grabbing someone, dragging them outside.
I see your lighter.
And going, look at this. This is about to happen. Do not take your eyes off of this spot until it happens. And then it'll happen, and then they kind of freak out. I'm the one who gets the initial freak out that you would expect, out of a human, right? Because. That being the first time they've ever seen anything like that, or that's the first time they realize that more things are possible in this place than getting up every day at the same time, going to work, coming home, eating dinner, watching TV, and then going to bed and then doing the same thing over and over again every day. There's more going on than that, and that's the hardest thing for people to realize, because we've been dragged into this routine mostly because of money. We're the only species that pays to live on this planet.
Well, it just
so you get in this routine where you think that's all you really have time to do.
Mm-hmm. It just feels like we're not ready, right? Because how many times? Obviously, there's stuff going on in Israel right now. There's stuff going on all over the planet, really. And we can't get past that. We can't get past just because they're of this religion or they're of this, they're descendants of this group of people. We got to get rid of them, or we got to do something. And we can't get past that. So could it be that that's what helps us?
What better way to get past it than the one landing on your front lawn and saying, "Hey"?
That's what Ronald Reagan said.
And there's some truth to that. I mean, if we're not ready now, when are we going to be ready? I mean, if we're ready to use all the things like a touchscreen phone that obviously came from somewhere else.
It's got more computing power than what they went to the moon with.
If you really think about what this thing can do
right.
and how it works, and you can have, divided screens and stuff like that, where how does it know what you're touching and what it's, who does that? Where did that come from? I remember the first one I got, I took it back to the store within a day. Because for one thing, you couldn't touch the screen ever without it doing something,
right.
And I didn't like that. But
and they're all listening, by the way.
Oh, definitely.
They're all
listening. Hi, Google.
Right, and pretty soon all of our phones will pop up with all kinds of ads.
I want my videos back that you took.
Did they take your videos?
Oh yeah, there was one of I usually don't even talk about it because I can't prove it now. But there was one, and I did have one witness that saw it actually happen and saw the video. An airplane off in the distance that melted away like liquid mercury and turned into a hawk and flew away. That one disappeared pretty quick off everything I had.
Wow.
And the SD card that it was on, all of my SD cards were stolen at one point. I had like 3 years worth of videos and pictures on them. There was
stolen from your house?
Yeah, there was probably 20 of them altogether with, just packed full of stuff like that. It happened, a few years ago, back when we first talked.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure that was someone I knew. I don't think it was like a government conspiracy or anything.
You sent me a video one time of a goose talking to you. That was,
right.
that was incredible.
I was going to say, maybe your ratings explosion is in Canada or because of that Q&A episode you did.
Listen, I've got a bone to pick with the geese.
Mm-hmm.
They, have you noticed that the Canadian geese seem to hang out all summer?
Yeah.
Here?
Yeah.
Why don't they fly home? Why don't they go home?
We have better sidewalks to crap all over, I guess.
I guess our golf courses are better or something.
I don't know, but...
Because they're staying.
Yeah.
They're summering and wintering here.
Well, they already learned English up there, so they don't need whoever that guy was that you talked about. Maybe that guy was real.
Right. That's awesome.
Or maybe he did something to, I don't know, piss him off. I don't know. I do still, every time I come across a flock of those things, I'll always go up to the one that kind of stands out.
Mm-hmm. There's always one that stops and kind of looks at you as you're walking by.
There's always that one, or one that lingers when the other ones take off.
Yeah, I experienced that the other day out here on the road. There were some in my yard, some in the guy's yard across the street. They were walking down the street, literally like a gang, like a gaggle of geese. They were walking down the street, and as I was walking to my mailbox, they all kind of turned to the right and went across the street into the yard, except for one. And he stood right in the middle of the street and just watched me walk by the whole time. I didn't try to talk to him, though. Maybe I should have.
I do every time I come across one, but as far as I know, there was one time I just not too long ago was reviewing. I came across a video from Sand Springs. They have that little giant pond that they call a lake, right there outside of town. And a buddy of mine, Barry, lives right over there by it. And they're always hanging out there by the water and stuff. And at one point, and I filmed the whole thing, I'm walking down towards them. I saw him by the water, and I'm walking up to him saying, hello, hello, which is what that one said to me, obviously, in plain English. That sounded kind of computerized, but it actually said it twice that time. I just didn't get the first one on video. I'm lucky that he said it again, but as I'm walking towards them saying hello, I've got the phone out in front of me, and they all kind of start running off and whatever, and I didn't notice it. I listened to it over and over again after I filmed it, but it wasn't until I came back across it a couple years later that, and I can't really prove, it's not as clear as that one was, but it sounded like "Hey Human," and even a slower, same kind of computer sounding voice, but a little bit slower. And I can't prove, it's not as, like I said, not as defined as that other one, so it's hard to tell. To me, it sounded like "Hey Human," and I've ran it through my recording studio app, and slowed it down and changed messed with the EQ and all kinds of stuff. It's not significant enough for me to really put out there, so I haven't.
What about at night when you are asleep? Do you dream? Does this stuff come to you in your dreams?
Nope.
Not at all?
I mean, it may have a time or two, but I usually don't have dreams about this. Fred, the state director for MUFON for Nebraska, actually asked me that same question during the one of the MUFON meetings in Oklahoma, the Zoom meetings, and he wasn't really, I don't think, aware of who I was yet. And, you know, Mindy's running the meetings, and she kind of gave him a little bit of a lowdown about me and the disappearing crane thing and different things that she had witnessed, you know, with me. And I think he was kind of messing with me at first, kind of being a smartass like I am.
Sure.
I don't know if I really caught on to it at the time. Going back and watching it later, I was like, he was giving me a hard time, you know. At which, you know, I don't have a problem with that. I'm the same way, especially if someone's making claims like I do. It's like whatever, man. But Mindy kind of backed me up there a little bit, and we ended up going on with the conversation. But he asked me that same question, and I said, no, I don't usually have dreams about that kind of stuff. And he said, well, at night before you go to bed, you just kind of ask, you know, say that you want to be shown things. He asked me if I'd been on the craft too, you know, and which I don't know that I have. But he said, just, you know, ask them and tell them that you want to see whatever, and I think they'll oblige, is what he said. And all I could say to that was they usually do the showing me things, you know, in broad daylight right in front of my face.
Right.
And he said, well, that's your belief. I kind of have to see that. And I said, come on. And ever since then, we've been pretty good friends. You know,
You know, I have a friend who he believes that at some point in his childhood, he and maybe a couple other friends were abducted. They live in Nebraska. He lives here now, but he grew up in Nebraska.
good place for it to happen, I would think.
Yeah, pretty spread out, right? And they his account of the abduction is really what you pretty much hear from other people who have experienced something like that. You know, there's a room, there's other people there, there's these beings that he doesn't know what or who they are. He's on a table, something happens, and then he's back in his bed.
It's always the same kind of story.
It's always the same kind of story, and there's two things there. One, is it the same kind of story because people are hearing the story, right, and they're kind of creating that own story for themselves because they don't really remember all of the details of their own story, so they're pulling from other people, or is it just that it's just that damn similar every single time? And I think that's something that we're not allowed to know. I don't think, that's
part of the rules.
I think when you go back, you're supposed to have some type of amnesia. As far as I had a dental procedure done one time, and I hate the dentist, and they gave me this powder and said, look, it's going to knock you out, but you're going to be able to communicate with us. I will be able to talk to you as I'm working on you and ask you questions or tell you to do this or do that, and then it's going to wear off, and you're going to wake up, and
your pants will be down,
and you're going to and you're going to go about your day, and you're going to you're going to have you're going to go home, you're going to feel a little tired, you're going to sleep it off, but you will remember nothing. So I have this procedure done, right? Have the procedure done. My wife's there to pick me up. We get in the car. We go do whatever. Get home, sleep. I wake up because it's like 10 o'clock at night. And I wake up thinking, oh, man, I missed the appointment. But then I was like, wait a minute. No, because I remember hanging my coat up before I got in the chair. And then my wife comes in and she's like, oh, you're up. I'm like, yeah, what's going on? What happened? She goes, well, you're done. You're fine. They gave you this stuff, though, this powder that is supposed to give you like amnesia.
What was it called?
I don't remember. But you can look up dental powder amnesia, and I'm sure it'll come up.
I mean, did they explain it to you?
Oh yeah, okay. No, they fully made me aware, and I remember they tell you don't drive, don't sign legal documents, don't, like, the rest of that day until you sleep it off, you're not supposed to do anything. Well, evidently, I get outside. I tell my wife, give me the keys, I'm driving.
Yeah, I was going to say, I wonder if that's one of the side effects. People immediately want to go to the courthouse. And
guess what else we did? Guess what else we did? We went shopping that day.
Oh, boy.
Yeah,
hey,
go figure.
You might want to try and get some of that powder from them to keep around for when she wants to go shopping later.
I didn't want to go shopping.
Exactly. That's why you need the powder for later.
To forget it. So Yeah, see? So,
Right? She just confirmed it.
so you know, are we supposed to remember that stuff? You know, not the shopping, but, you know, the abductions? Probably not.
How much money was spent during that trip?
I don't remember. Probably,
exactly.
Probably a couple $100. Probably more than what was copped to. How about that?
Mm-hmm.
You have met, we have a mutual friend, Gentry.
Right.
She's great. I feel like it's dangerous to put you two together, and I know you guys hang out a lot. Yeah. I feel like you might be the key master and she's the gatekeeper, and you guys are gonna, like, worlds are gonna collide, and all of a sudden there's gonna be a.
I do too.
Yeah. So you guys have, and
we're from the same planet, I believe.
I'm not gonna ask you to put it on our platform, but you guys have a video, and you can get into it as deep as you want. I know you guys are this thing's gonna blow up.
Has to.
You guys were together one night. I guess she was recording.
She actually filmed the video.
And what you guys caught was incredible.
Yes, absolutely. Out of all my incredible captures, which I have quite a few, somewhere in the hundreds, I think this one might top them all.
Well, where is it going to be released first? Who's going to have it first?
Actually, she did an interview with Anthony on Unidentified S4 last night, live, and she okayed it to be shown on there. So, I mean, it's out there now. I mean, if you really want to see it, that's where you can go as of right now. I've got it. I'd send it off to, I talked to Joshua P. Warren about it. I sent him a couple of still shots from it and later on the video, and he immediately referred me to his UFO video analyst that he uses, apparently, a guy named Mobius. And I'm still waiting to hear back from him, so I don't know what's going to go on with that exactly. But I don't know who you really send something like that to confirm it. How can anyone confirm or deny anything like that? You know, no. I mean, there's no such thing as an expert in my field because no one really knows any more than the other one. I mean, some people experience more things. Some people see a lot more things just because they put themselves out there, you know, on a nightly basis like I do. I mean, I have no telling how many thousands of hours logged, you know, in the field researching, probably more than almost anyone on the planet. I mean, I'd be willing to say. I mean, you could consider me someone that knows a little more than a lot of people, but I mean, you can't really call yourself an expert anywhere in this field, technically.
Yeah. And isn't that interesting? Because you can be an expert at drilling.
There are expert
40 miles into the Earth's core, but we can't be an expert in this field.
You can be an expert video analyst, which I kind of consider myself to be because I've gone over so many of these things. You know, I know I can spot a fake easily. There's nothing, like Anthony said himself. I finally got the reaction that I was expecting out of somebody when he saw it for the first time last night. And he was someone I wanted to share that video with right off the bat because me and him talk quite a bit, almost on a daily basis, and we share each other's stuff and, you know, whatever, and have for years. But I think I'm glad I didn't show it to him yet because his reaction was priceless. He's like, "You gotta be fucking kidding me!" Right. You know, he's got that New York accent.
Well, I've seen the video.
That's the reaction that I wanted,
right?
You know, and that I would expect when something of that caliber is shown. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, you were kind enough to show me the video before we started today, and for those out there who want to see the video, once it's kind of out there a little more,
it'll be everywhere.
We'll make sure you guys know where to find it. But I've seen it, and I had to watch it the second time. And the second time is when I saw, we talked about the movement, right? That second time was much different than watching it the first time.
Right.
The first time you see it, and then you're like, okay, and then you know where to kind of pay attention to, and then you can really get into a little more detail of it, you know, watching it that way. And it's definitely one of those videos that I think will be looked at, analyzed by a lot of people, talked about. You're going to have people.
There will be many TV show appearances, I'm sure.
Well, there's going to be people who are going to debunk it for whatever reason. There's going to be people who are going to agree with it. The experts. What about what Mexico did the other day?
I haven't really even seen. I've seen people.
You haven't seen it?
I've seen people posting stuff about it, but I haven't actually. I don't watch TV hardly ever.
You know what they did, right? So they brought out two
supposed
small
corpses or something.
Alien corpses, right?
Yeah. Hasn't that happened before though? Like out of South America, or maybe it was Mexico before.
You know, I think it's Peru.
I think it was Peru.
I think it's Peru.
The skeleton of and they were all.
They also have the elongated skeleton.
Yeah.
This was a little different. The government, 100% fully involved. The Mexican government, 100% fully involved in this. evidently they've had them for years. They've had other people come in, private people, to examine them, look at them, whatever. And they're not very big. I mean, they're they're 2-3 feet long. I mean, they're really skinny, really tiny. But if I understand it correct, and if I'm wrong, don't get mad at me. But we'll correct it later. They were dug out of somewhere, like there was a mining operation or something, and they dug them out of that. And I've heard other people claim that we've done the same with craft. We're digging somewhere and we find this craft, and I think there's a big belief right now, because of the popularity of Skinwalker Ranch, is that they've got something in that hill that's on the ranch that they can't figure out, and could possibly be some kind of craft. Do you think some of this stuff could potentially be put there on purpose, so that we're kind of finding these things, slowly but surely?
Right, and I've heard people say that the dinosaur bones were placed all
that
over
they never really
or,
walked the earth,
right.
but they were put there for us to
something like that, or even manufactured and put in the ground. Who knows?
Right.
I don't know that I believe that, but
like giant bones.
Right.
They say the same thing about.
I mean, I grew up in Texas, and some of the fullest and best skeletons they found of dinosaurs are right down there in South Texas.
Yeah.
And they still have the footprints in the rocks.
Oh yeah. There's a little river park where you can go and see 3-toed footprints that are just basically in the riverbed.
Right, and they have the Whitty Museum down there, which I've been to millions of times. It seems like school field trips. We're always going there, and they have some pretty amazing skeletons down there.
Yeah, it's true, and we don't even know what's in our oceans either. I mean, we allegedly know more about the moon than we do our oceans.
Yeah, I don't think we know jack about either one of them. I think even if we did go to the moon, I think they're afraid to go anywhere near it again. for whatever reason. It's either that or we're already mining the back of it, one of the two.
Well, a lot of astronauts, have come forward in recent years and have said, we saw something and we couldn't explain what it was, and it came in and left and went out. There's also talk about satellites that have been orbiting Earth that we don't know where they're from. We don't know how they got there. And then, of course, there was the Dark Knight, yeah. Then, of course, there was that really long asteroid that came by and then sped up as it was leaving.
Yeah. Another weird thing, just recently, that comet.
Yeah.
I think it's still somewhere close by, but, on my sky watching app that tells you, the location of all the planets and satellites. It shows everything, the space station. It shows everything that's overhead, and you can just aim your phone at it, and it tells you what you're looking at. I'm watching that, a couple weeks ago or whatever it was, for like a couple weeks straight. And first of all, there was like a planetary alignment that I'd never really heard anything about, anyone talking about, but I'm seeing it, with my own eyes, and I'm out there all night watching them come up. Venus and Mercury would come up like right next to the sun, I think, so you couldn't really see it. But looking at the app, it shows the live sky map, and then it has a timeline where you can move forward and backwards in the timeline.
Right.
And it was Venus, Mars, Mercury, the sun, and the moon at one point were all like one right after the other.
Wow.
And that comet was right there, like facing towards the sun, it looked like, at least on the picture on the map. And so I started looking up that comet and found out that they didn't even know that thing existed until like 2 months ago. Which I find that really hard to believe. But then as you go down, I'm looking at it on Google, it says that they just realized it on, August 14th, I think, or 16th, somewhere around there. Or was it September? Either August or September. It was like a month before, when I was looking at it. And if you keep reading on the facts about it, Wikipedia or whatever it was, it says that, it gives the time where, like Halley's Comet comes, every 70 years or 75 years, something like that, circles back around. They're given, the timeline on how often it circulates. Like it was like every 436 years or something. How do they know that when they didn't even know it existed 2 months ago?
Right.
Which seemed kind of odd to me, They have all these facts about it, but just discovered it.
Yeah.
So I don't know what's going on with that, but
you think it's a good idea for us to be sending
No.
signals out into space?
Whatever it is, no.
I mean, who knows who's going to pick that up, right?
I mean, why not?
Well, we're doing it.
We're doing it.
I mean,
I've got my blue laser on me right now that I shoot up into the sky. And something I just recently discovered once I got that thing. I've only had it 6 months or so. I had a green one before, and then I was like, I want one that starts fires, you know?
Yeah, right.
I want a big boy laser.
Right.
And I got one for like $58 on Amazon, and comes with goggles and everything you're supposed to wear, and it's a bad mofo.
Right.
Like, I was just curious one night. I was leaving, coming from Sand Springs back towards Tulsa, and there was a storm. You know, it was storming real bad. It just kind of came out of nowhere. And as we're coming around this turn, I was just curious, and I started flicking it off and on up into the clouds out the passenger side window. And I flicked it off and on a couple times, and I had my video camera was running while I'm doing this, and I flicked it off and on a couple times, and just clicked it on and let it sit there for about 2 seconds, and the most massive lightning strike I've ever seen in my life fucking hit right there, and I was like, whoa! And then the thunder right after it almost shook us off the road. It was so massive.
So you think you were manipulating that in some way?
That's what I looked over at my buddy who was driving, and you know, his eyes were about as big as around as mine were, and I was like, we didn't say nothing.
Yeah. Turn the damn laser off, bro.
Yeah, and then
You're gonna get us killed.
I was looking at him like, surely not, you know. It sure seemed that way, but then I tried it again, and it happened again. I did it 3 times that night. It wasn't nearly as massive as the first strike, but so it was. I went back to his house that night, and it was like a couple days before, like Sunday night before I made it back to the house, and so I finally had a chance to look it up, you know. So I Googled it, and I was surprised to find that I was probably manipulating that lightning. It says that the laser produces ions, which
Charged ions, yeah.
and it heats the air also, which is, you know,
Yeah.
and the lightning's going to take the path of least resistance. So it's not very often that I have these wild ideas, you know, just because I'm curious. And
Right.
I'll try certain things.
It's an experiment.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not real often that, you know, science backs what I'm doing
Right.
and says I'm right. You know what I mean? So it was pretty refreshing, and I was like, wow. So that opened up this whole other set of doors in my head, and which there's a lot of them in there already.
Have you seen the apps where you can play certain frequencies and sounds?
Yeah, I have one.
To call them in?
Yeah.
Have you ever tried that? Does it work for you?
Actually, I go back and I'll play like old Osage chants and stuff like that.
Really?
I found that tends to work because the Osage supposedly came from the stars. That's their story, you know. Anything real old, you know, it seems like, and definitely different frequencies. I've tried the what was it? The astral projection thing.
Right.
What was that called? Operation something or other, where they tested the 2 different frequencies, one in each ear, and then the distortion between the two inside your head makes both sides of your brain work together instead of separately.
Right.
I've tried that. I didn't actually go all the way into it. I was just kind of doing an overview of the whole process on YouTube. But I did.
Isn't that supposed to put you more in tune with the universe?
Right. Well, the first thing it does is it makes your left and right side of your brain work together, which they normally don't.
Right. They disagree.
Yeah,
all the time.
And it's amazing the things, and still, even after just kind of skimming through it, I did lay there. I was in bed, you know, with the earbuds on, and they play one of the tones first in one side, and then after a while, and you got this guy like whispering to you, you know, telling you to relax and you know, whatever, the whole process. But it's kind of like a Stephen Greer thing, except not quite as creepy.
Right. Yeah.
But then
Stephen does interesting work, though.
He does. Unfortunately, most of it wasn't his work.
Yeah.
But
heard that.
There's a whole nother episode there. It was Bingham's work, really. He taught him everything he knew, and then he kind of stole it as his own and is making bank off of it now. They have Bingham's challenged him to a summon off, basically, publicly. And
right.
Of course, he never hears anything back from him. But you know, I'll just say I wasn't there when all this happened, so I can't say for sure either way. But why would he lie about it?
It's a good disclosure. Good disclosure.
Right.
Yeah.
But when they add the second tone in your left ear, you hear the the oscillation that it causes, and it's that oscillation, the distortion between the two frequencies, that puts you in this state where you're able, if you if you practice it enough, or I'm thinking someone like me might possibly be able to jump right out of their body, if they were really focused on it. And but they say it takes like several weeks to build up to that point. And then there's several different processes of actually exiting your body. You can roll out of it, which, hearing that, it kind of reminds me of like when you're having a dream where you're falling, or you fall out of bed or whatever. It kind of makes sense,
Yeah.
to do it that way. And I might have even had several dreams like that where I had done that and probably woke up not long after it. But if I wouldn't have, I might have been in that state to where I could have, whatever, astral projected, gone somewhere else. But even though I didn't actually get into the full hypnotic state or whatever you want to call it, I immediately noticed several differences in the way that I perceived things. Like I was sitting in the garage smoking one time, and I was listening to the cardinals chirping outside. There's a bunch of them that lived in the bush right outside. Excuse me. And those are like 15 feet away from me. The side door to the garage was open, but I could also hear birds that seemed like they were maybe a mile away, and I could focus in on them even better than the ones right next to me. And I could pick them out and separate them. I could hear them both at the same time equally. Yeah. And even like when a car would pass by in front of the house, the sound of it was totally different.
Yeah.
And like when two cars would pass, I could discern which one was which, and it was strange the way my brain seemed like it had altered a little bit to where I noticed things a lot.
Well, we don't even understand the brain, really. I mean, what we know about it is minute, I think, of what it's capable of.
Right.
It almost sounds a little like remote viewing, where they can project, into an area or into a building or into an airplane or whatever, and get into a briefcase or a suitcase or a car or, whatever, and hear what's going on. I know for me personally, I've experienced, and I don't know what you'd call it. It's always when I'm asleep, and it's always just before I reach the point where I'm becoming awake, right? Where it's the end of the sleep cycle, and I can feel the best way for me to describe it is if my hand and arm is my body, and I'm laying there, and I can consciously feel this. I feel part of me doing this, but then I slam right back down. Now it's not hard, it's not, but I can tell. I in my brain I reach a point where I can feel. It's almost like something is separating from me. I can feel some separation, and then right back down.
That's exactly what it is. It's you trying to go somewhere else.
Right.
But it's the fear of not being able to come back is what keeps most people from, even when they're trying to do it, is what they say will stop most people from actually being able to convert over to that state. Because I mean, that's pretty scary. That's pretty scary stuff right there. You're leaving your body, that. Well, can you come back into it, or are you going to die when you leave? I'm sure all kinds of things go through people's heads.
There's 1,000 ways to die, right? And if that's one of them, sounds pretty good to me. I mean, if I was going to pick how I'm going to go, I think most people would say, yeah, let me just die in my sleep. I've been present when loved ones have passed in the hospital, and I can tell you that I personally felt like they were already gone. I've personally
I just dealt with that.
Felt that energy, and I felt like, look, what we're doing is we're keeping just a shell of who they were alive. They're already, they've already departed. What role what role do you think beings play in that, if any?
In death?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Because there's a spiritual aspect to it, right? I know religions and native cultures, and there's always this other plane that we're going to, and it's really a bigger question of is all of this just a simulation? Are we just kind of going through it, and it's just in our brain? This cigar, Frank here,
supposedly no matter, it doesn't exist.
Right. So trying to get to that next plane. I had a medium tell me, who we interviewed, Crystal Miles.
Oh yeah, I like her.
And she said that we all have guides. We all have spirit guides. And my friend from Nebraska, who believed he was abducted, he believes that spiritually, they're kind of all like, and I'm going to use the word alien, but they're kind of like alien hybrids.
Yeah.
And there are guides to take us wherever we're supposed to go next.
Right. Yeah. Crystal Miles. I must have listened to her podcast that you did with her probably 100 times. It's pretty interesting stuff.
We did a reading with her.
Right, yeah.
And
that was nice too.
I talked about it. We didn't air it, but I talked about it, and I've always been I'm kind of a natural skeptic with a lot of things.
Right. That's what I told you like a day before our first interview. I was like, how does someone like you, people like you are my biggest critic. How did you get into this in the first place?
Sure. Well, because
I think your answer was your wife.
Well, so
for the most part.
she had a near-death experience.
Right. I was going to say Mindy could tell you a lot more about the question you just asked me.
Well, and Mindy and I have discussed the near-death experiences before, and there's more to it. There's more to all of this, right? Absolutely. And so to have the arrogance to think that we're the only ones,
that's right. That's just retarded.
Right? That's just crazy. That's just crazy. And I think I heard, I don't know if it was Degrassi or somebody said that's like taking a tablespoon, dipping it in the ocean.
There's no fish in it.
And there's no whales in the ocean because they're not in my spoon, right? When you think of the enormity of just what we know of our galaxy, we're just a tiny little speck.
And then you also got to think of microorganisms. I mean,
it's a whole other world, right?
Yeah, we think of things as our size or bigger.
Well, there's things living on our bodies.
Right. People don't like to think about that kind of stuff, but they're there,
and they're ugly.
Yeah. Well, to us, they are.
True.
They might be the best looking things out there, but according to our brain, then they seem ugly. And no one ever seems to remember this, but like one of the missions to Mars that we made, they were conducting some test, and I don't know where you would look it up to find the fact to prove this. I haven't actually looked it up, but I remember seeing it, clearly on TV where they were doing a soil test and adding some chemical or whatever it was to the soil to see if it would produce methane, I believe it was, and that would prove that there was something living in the soil. An
organism, carbon,
right. And supposedly methane was produced, but that story just kind of went away all of a sudden as soon as they aired it. And I haven't heard anything about it since. Well, and now they're talking about doing that test. Yeah. So I don't know if that's some weird Mandela effect thing that I had going on, but I know I saw that.
Look, the government knows more than they're leading on to, and there's been this trickle of, if we bring it out slowly, and we go, oh, look at this shot from the USS Nimitz. Look at this video that this fighter pilot got,
which is doctored up big time,
and we don't know what this is. We don't. But the point is, by slowly bringing it out into everyday life,
then that's going to prepare us for it.
Right. You're no longer shocked, right? It just becomes part of everyday life. So when there's more podcasts about it, when there's more videos, when there's more TV shows, when there's more movies, when it's making the front page cover of a magazine.
But all they're really doing by doing that is, drawing it out, obviously, and prolonging.
Well, it's
inevitable, but right, and all that's doing is irritating people. I think just have them land on your lawn, and there's going to be shock, but then you get over the shock. I mean, what's the point of dragging it all out? And that's just irritating people. And because then it gets to the point like it is now where you don't even know if this is real or not, which I'm pretty sure is the point of the whole thing. But
right.
Get over the shock. People are good about dealing with trauma and shock, and I mean, people that keep up with celebrities and stuff, they're shocked every day by whatever Dennis Rodman did or whoever it is.
Well, Rodman's
going back in time a little. I just watched Men in Black the other day. So, that's why that was on my mind, which I've never even watched until just recently.
Really?
I've never seen any of them.
Do you stay away from those types of movies?
Man,
on purpose?
It's not that. It's just that I have a very short attention span, and it's got to be something really good to get my attention, because if not, like if I go to the theater to see a movie, which is, I don't remember the last time I did that, but I'll usually about 15 minutes into it tell whoever I'm with I'm going to the bathroom, and then they'll find me after the movie's over playing pinball out there.
Right. Have you seen a movie that you thought, I feel like they're on the right track? Have you seen anything like that?
My belief about this is every movie they put out that ends up being a blockbuster has either actually happened or is going to happen in the future. I don't think anyone just comes up with these movie ideas. I think they're based on something.
Well, they say truth is stranger than fiction, right?
Yeah, the further along we're getting, like stuff like The Fifth Element, every day I'm noticing, different stories you hear about different people that are coming out with sightings or experiences. A lot of those details in that movie, people are kind of confirming those.
The fourth kind touches on the owl.
Mm-hmm. And there's so many things about the owl that, like, what's that place in California? The
Grove.
The Bohemian Grove.
Bohemian Grove, yeah.
They worship a 40-foot
giant owl. Yeah, right.
I mean, those people are a whole other story too.
Yeah, that's another.
But the owl thing, I mean, there's something to that.
You know, when I watch,
I actually do a thing I call owl fishing, which I just started doing within the last couple of years. I was kind of scared to at first because I haven't noticed any bad effects from doing it. But I'll take a rope and tie it around my Bluetooth speaker, and it depends on how into it I am at the time. But I'll take an old phone and I'll hot glue it onto the speaker and turn on the video camera, and I'll toss it up in the highest branch of a tree and go to YouTube, start playing owl noises. And I'll set my camera up, on the tripod down here to get the whole view of the tree, and then I'll have the close-up view on the speaker, as long as it doesn't shut off while I'm throwing it up in there.
Right.
But sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And I'll start playing those owl noises and just sit there and wait. And the first time I did that, I got to admit, I was pretty terrified of what might happen, what I might be bringing on myself, because those owls don't mess around, man. And I can't figure out why.
Carry you off.
Right.
Jeez.
And it worked the very first time I tried it. It was just another one of my weird ideas that I had. I was curious, and it worked. And I learned real quick to not be anywhere near the tree when it happens, because they come out of nowhere real quick, and you won't even know it.
No.
And they're there. By the time they're there, it's too late, and they'll hit that speaker. I'll be playing the monkey noises, and it doesn't take long usually. The last couple times I've tried it, I didn't get anything, but usually it's not very long after even if you don't hear any owls, off in the distance, they're around still, but.
Wow.
And they'll hit that speaker, and it's pretty interesting to watch.
Yeah, I don't know that I would engage in the owl fishing. To me,
it makes me nervous still.
Yeah,
but I haven't really noticed any residual bad effects afterwards.
No, and
yet
probably not. But
maybe they're saving it all up for one big one later.
They're a predatory bird, right? I mean, they will attack small mammals and small dogs and chickens, and
it's cool just getting a video of them doing that. I mean, I've always wanted to get like a hawk dive bombing on a mouse or a rabbit or something.
Right.
And right at the height of my interest in that, a couple of years ago, I was out in the backyard with my telescope, and I look up and I see two hawks locked together falling to the ground, and I'm like, holy shit. And that's what I said on the video, holy shit, over and over again. I said it probably 500 times. And as they're falling, luckily I had my camera ready like I always do, and I'm trying to follow them all the way down, and they come down, and it's like they're falling right over me, like right on. They started off over here, but as they're coming closer, they're like gonna land on my head, and they kind of hit a couple of tree branches on the tree right above me, and I had to scoot back as they about hit the ground, and they hit my telescope, knocked it over, rolled a couple times on the ground, and I'm standing about 20 feet away at that point, and I'm still saying, holy shit, over and over again, and I'm shaking and stuff. Yeah. I didn't even get the actual impact of their landing, which pisses me off still to this day, because that was one of the coolest parts, when they hit the telescope and knocked it right where I was standing. And they roll a couple times, and I get them hitting the tree limbs, and then I'm trying to back off, and so I kind of miss right when they hit, but then I get back on them right after that when they roll, and they both stand up, look at me like, what the hell do you want, and fly off. Wow. But if I wouldn't have moved, they would have landed right on top of my head.
Aaron works at the zoo, and they have some Arctic owls. Is that right, Aaron?
Oh,
Arctic
the
owls?
white ones? Yeah. That's another story. It's something that just happened a week ago.
When did they have their baby?
About 2 months ago.
About 2 months ago.
Did it escape?
Super protective. Like, they will eyeball you to make sure that you're not messing with their offspring.
This is cool that you do work at the zoo, because I have a couple questions for you. How many of those do you see in the wild in Oklahoma?
None.
I saw one a couple weeks ago on the side of the highway. It was down on the ground even, which I'm not used to seeing an owl just hanging out on the ground, you know what I mean? Especially right next to a highway. It was solid white, and we were leaving the casino out there in Sand Springs, actually, me and my friend. And we get about a quarter mile down the road, and this thing takes off from the right side of the highway and flies right in front of us. We almost hit it. And it was a white owl, solid white, about that big.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I've never seen a white owl in Oklahoma. I've heard that they exist, and there could be some, but
my
you're
wife,
saying no, right?
Yeah, they shouldn't be.
My wife and I came down Elwood. Sorry, everybody, you don't know the towns and roads we're talking about, but it's a 2-lane road. It's not in the city. It's not in the neighborhood. It's got, sparse land around it, but there is an airport close. We're coming down Elwood. We got to 91st Street, I think it was. and it was at night, and my headlights hit an owl on the side of the road on the other side of the street, a white one about that tall.
No shit.
Okay, it had some gray in it up by its head, but it was mostly white.
It's like that white deer.
I thought it was a piece of trash. And until I drove past and I looked and it was an owl, and I drove down and I was so like, holy shit, that's I turned into this little gravel lot, backed up, and came forward. When I came forward, it was gone. And then I looked up and it was up on a power line. And so we kind of sat there for a minute. It's a 4-way stop.
Did you get any pictures of it?
No, didn't get any. We tried, but it wouldn't. You couldn't tell what it was.
No.
And we turned around and came back. I have seen a white deer in Tulsa.
Yeah, I remember that
at a cemetery.
Right.
Yeah.
The one right over on 91st, right?
91st Street. Yeah.
I've wandered around there in the middle of the night a couple times.
that was
back when I was about 17, 16.
Yeah. Well, that was pretty wild too. And because it had jumped, it was running, but it was jumping over stuff as it was running. I don't know if it was jumping over headstones or what, and eventually gets kind of out of sight, right? But I've seen pictures of, different animals, albino type animals, but the owls aren't albino. I mean, that's their, that's their DNA.
How long ago was that you saw the owl?
Oh, probably 3 years ago.
It's interesting that it was sitting on the side of the road too.
And it was only about this tall.
Because obviously they got to be on the ground at some point when they're eating.
Right.
I got to go back to him for a second. How often do you just catch one just hanging out on the ground?
Yeah, not very often.
Especially waiting on a car to fly right in front of it
on
purpose.
the road kind of makes sense though, because roadkill.
Yeah.
I mean, you would think that
owls don't usually. They're not scavengers though. I mean,
Right.
I'm sure they eat the stuff if they have to, but I don't think they're really unsuccessful hunters. You know what I mean?
My
I think
wife
they want to eat something.
My wife had a little Yorkie. We think an owl got it.
Right. I mean, they'll find something if they're hungry.
Yeah.
And I mean, you can't hear them whatsoever. I mean, it's not hard for them to take something out.
No.
So I don't really see them, munching on roadkill very often. I'm sure it happens. But
Have you seen the golden eagles in South America?
especially the area we were, there's so much wooded area. I mean,
Right.
how hard would it be to find something alive? The golden eagle, yeah.
Have you seen those?
Huge.
You see how they
that
kill
video
goats?
Where it takes off with someone's baby or whatever. It was a hoax.
I don't know
They
about
found out
that,
later.
but I know
They're big enough too.
there are videos of them. There's mountain goats that are on these cliffs,
Right, yeah,
and they will grab them and fly them out and drop them.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
I've seen a video of a crow, and this was in Seattle, and the crow knew when to walk out into the street and when not because of the people, right?
Driving by or what? Or was it a road?
Yeah, so it's a downtown Seattle, right? Traffic everywhere.
I've seen that.
But it knew when to walk out into the road because the people were walking.
Oh, okay.
Well, what it would do is it would take walnuts in its mouth, wait, watch the people. The people would start walking. It would walk it out, drop the walnut in the road, and walk back. Cars would drive by. They'd crush it. He'd wait for the people to walk. He'd walk out, and he'd get the...
Right.
I mean, that's next level stuff.
It is. I saw kind of the same thing, not quite exactly the same, but out in the street, that house in Sand Springs I was living in, someone had thrown a McDonald's bag out, and there was a couple of them that were out there grabbing fries out of it,
Right.
And then a car would drive by, and then
right.
they'd
Tear it up and
take a couple steps over and wait for it to pass and go back.
Yeah.
So they weren't quite using the brain power that yours was, but
Yeah, you can teach birds to talk. Certain species of bird, they can learn language, and of course they don't hold conversations, so to speak, unless they're in your company. But
right.
Animals are, I don't know. Sometimes if you see them in the wild, and they're completely wild, detached from humanity as much as possible. Some of their behaviors, make you wonder, like packs of wolves and how they march through the wilderness, and how they take care of their elderly, and how they really have that kind of wolf pack mentality. I know we got off on animals for some reason, but
one more thing about that, though, I was watching this thing on bald eagles, which there was a period there when I lived out by the levee on the west side of Tulsa.
Mm-hmm.
There was a nest directly across the river from us
that
I could see right into with my telescope, and I'd never seen a bald eagle that close before. Like, I'm looking at it, the one landed in this dead tree that was right on. It was on our side of the river, and it was the tallest tree around, and that's where all the different bird hawks and stuff would land on it all the time. But that was the first time I'd ever actually seen a bald eagle that close, and I'm looking at him, it's like right here through my telescope, and just looking at its head, like its facial expression, it looks mean. It looks like a bad.
They look pissed off.
It was a trip seeing that. But
he's got a couple at the zoo. They have a couple there that they don't fly. But
I was watching this story about bald eagles, and they were following these different couples of them, and one of the females had gone off somewhere to hunt or whatever and didn't come back. It had died for whatever reason, and it showed the whole courtship of the new one. This new female comes in the area, and how they kind of fight them off at first, and then the whole process. And he finally, accepts it, and they become a couple. And it shows them, rebuilding the nest at the beginning of spring or whatever, whenever it is that they usually do the home improvement projects. But that's like a big thing, with a new wife, I guess, to allow them to bring stuff, material to use in it. And they said that not just that couple or that one specific eagle, but any female bald eagle, anytime they position any piece of straw or whatever it is in the nest, every single time the male will come and reposition it somewhere else. And I thought that was hilarious, because the girl I was with at the time, that's exactly how we were.
It's like the thermostat.
She would always be trying to help, and she liked doing man work, I mean? She liked building things or trying to. She didn't really know how to, but she liked to, and she just figured it out on her own. It wasn't always necessarily the most practical or the right way, but I was constantly having to do stuff. And she just looked at me when we were watching that.
It's like the thermostat in wintertime. She'll turn it up, I turn it down. She turns it up, I turn it down.
Animals aren't so much different than us.
The eagles we have here in Oklahoma are called southern bald eagles. There's a mating pair here in Jinx, where we live, and they're right on the river. They have two separate nests, and they alternate. So one year they go over here, and then the next year
I thought you meant they lived in separate ones.
No, they're not separate. Yeah, their own bedroom.
They push the nest together.
Their own bedroom. But they've been here for a while.
You want to push the nest together tonight, babe?
Separate beds. Look, we're going to wrap up. So if, like I said in the beginning, I think some people are here to be the middleman, right? To be able to share their experiences, share what it is that they're doing, seeing, experiencing.
It's given to the
help
people
other
who
people
can
along.
handle it, I believe. The people who they think can handle the stuff is who gets shown these things, I think. And then we're supposed to pass that on.
Where do you think we go next?
Somewhere else.
That's for sure. Yeah, that's a given.
And I mean, I think we've already done that. I think you get reports all the time about, these alien species that look almost exactly like us, and you couldn't even really tell us apart. I think they probably are us. I think we've got out of here already at some point, probably several times, and I think we've, like we're starting to do now this time around, we're starting to repopulate other places, in case something happens here, which inevitably will, from, if you look at history, that's something will happen at some point that will destroy life. So they're talking about going to Mars. I think it's ridiculous that we're trying to go back to a place we already destroyed. But that's my personal opinion. But I mean, it's not that hard to imagine that we have built spacecraft before and made it outside of our atmosphere and possibly to even other, solar systems or whatever. And there could be trillions of us out there, just like us, exactly the same as us, that just were alive at a time before us.
Yeah, I think you're on the right path, because I think the more and more we really analyze who we are and why we're here, and all of those questions that we all have at some point in our lives, we start asking, what's this all about? I think it becomes more and more clear that there's obviously more to it. And if we struggle now to even find common ground so that we can just exist, that's not sustainable. It's just not.
It's sad too.
Yeah. So if we are being visited, and we know we are, it makes sense that they have some type of a interest in our survival. Yeah. And whatever that means, I don't know, but I'm glad we have people like you here to be able to possibly bridge that gap.
It's good to be here. I like to help the kids,
And yeah, help the old lady across the street.
All right. Which you should do every chance you get.
I wanted to ask you too, and this will be my last question for you. I know you're a musician. You love music. I think most of us do.
Yeah, I don't trust people that don't.
What is it about music that is really kind of this genre, this form of expression that we're so drawn to?
I don't know. I think about that a lot.
It's almost like a language, right? It's almost like its own.
Yeah, I wonder.
Classical music, especially, is like its own language,
which I'm a big fan of. Not all of it, but I think about this a lot. Like, do other beings make music? Which you don't usually get. I mean, there's like in that movie, Close. There's like that
the
little
tone.
tune,
yeah.
I mean,
I think
there's
it's
that, and then there's that, and then. But I mean, is that really? I don't know. Do they sit around in groups and make different noises? Like you look at a bluegrass band playing the spoons and stuff. Do they get rocks and bang them together? Or do they have these elaborate instruments or like on The Fifth Element? You got that opera singer.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, do they actually sit around and make noises together in unison, or is that strictly a human thing? Because
it's also a form of communication.
To me, it kind of seems like it might just be us that really do that in that way. Anyway, we
had this conversation the other day, and it was like, okay, so do we play music in heaven? Is there like this, And so I had to go. I had to go look it up. Like, okay, what musical instruments are mentioned in the Bible? I had to go look that up. And so we came across, and so there's things that are similar to guitars, obviously percussion instruments.
Who was playing them?
Harps, trumpets.
Well, yeah, the harp. I didn't think about that.
So really,
there's at least one harp up there.
right. And there's a little bitty tiny baby angel playing.
But do they have a mouth harp?
So I think the answer is yes, and I think music somehow is going to play a role in all this. I don't know what it is, but I read a study where Alzheimer's patients were on music therapy, and so they put on like classical music, not like The Who and a song everybody knows, right? But I think there's something to that too.
Hey, that all comes from somewhere.
But they were putting on classical music, and they were doing this therapy for like an hour, and they noticed that for a brief time, everything was reconnected, and they knew who they were. They knew who you know, and so.
Well, it's like the same way that you hear a song and it takes you immediately back.
Sure.
To whatever point in your life or some scenario or whatever. I mean, that happens to me every day.
Yeah.
I don't know how that happens or why it happens, but it does.
Yeah.
I mean, and obviously with the Gateway Project is what I was trying to think of earlier with the astral projection and the two different tones.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just two tones by themselves, or
that's
interlocking both sides of your brain together, making them work together.
Right.
So I mean, there's obviously something to that.
There's something to it, and I find it interesting.
That's just two notes.
Right.
So.
And to kind of full circle this thing, I find it interesting that a mutual friend of ours, Gentry, is really into music.
I've witnessed her strange gift that she has.
To be able to know the song without knowing it is incredible, obviously.
Right. I put her to the test all the time. I'll take my guitar to her house and just start playing her. She has this keyboard over there. I'll get on every once in a while. And she goes immediately into it.
I think we'll find that there's some connection to the beings that are communicating or trying to communicate or coming to us, and music, whether that's how we communicate or whether it's some form of form where that's what brings the people together. I don't know what it is.
Because it does. Look at all the outdoor music festivals.
Absolutely.
All kinds of people that wouldn't normally get along will get along for a show,
Yeah. Well, we're going to jump off of here. Where can people go if they want to find you?
I've launched my website, the UFOmagnet.com. I've got all kinds of pictures and videos, stuff. I don't have them all on there yet. You can go to my YouTube channel and find most of those. It's the UFO Magnet on YouTube, Joey the UFO Magnet George, and the website is the UFOmagnet.com, and you can also book me on there for personal UFO summonings, basically. by the hour, and I've got like a half price thing going on right now because it's about to be cold. So I'm trying to get as many people out there as possible. So it's $25 an hour, a person, or I have like a special for a group special, up to 5 people for 2 hours. It's only $150. That's cheap to see some strangeness.
See something spectacular.
Especially if you've never seen one of these before, it's worth every penny. Trust me.
Yeah.
And it seems like once you see the first one, then it keeps happening. So, you get a lot of free gifts afterwards.
Well, I encourage everybody, whether you're in Oklahoma or not, everybody around the world who picks up our podcast, go to the website, send them a message, get the conversation started. Who knows?
Tell your friends.
You may want to. You may be on a vacation somewhere near in the area and decide to detour for a night and come and check out what this guy can do. And we're not gonna have such a long gap next time. I wanna do this with you on a semi-regular basis and get you in here. And who knows? Maybe we'll test fate and get you and Gentry in here at the same time one night.
That would be interesting.
See what happens.
And we need to do some owl fishing.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I might leave all that to you.
You can watch from inside and watch out the window if you want.
Yeah, stand behind some plexiglass and umbrellas.
Like a bank teller.
Right. Big wool blanket camouflage, so hopefully they can't see me.
Yeah, they'll know.
Yeah, that's the unfortunate part.
They'll know before you even find the blanket to use.
Right.
They might even help you pick it up.
Yeah, well, who knows? If I see another one of those white owls, though, I'm going to call you immediately.
Yeah, do that, actually.
Yeah.
Please
all right.
do.
That's going to do it, guys. Yeah, the zoo guy. Call the zoo guy. Aaron the Baron is what we call him.
Aaron the Baron.
But yeah, go check it out, everybody. Please, I encourage you, go do it, and message us about this show. And again, you've got to share this with everybody because of what's going on with the algorithms on social media and how things are being slowed on purpose. Go share it. Bring friends to the show. It's worth it.
I have just one more thing. I started a new Facebook page recently. It's called Anomalous Anonymous. And I started it basically because it was already happening. I get phone calls from all over the world a lot of times, people who have seen something or experienced something strange that they've never seen before.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, it really messes with them, and they don't feel like they can open up about it or tell anyone about it because they'll be called crazy or whatever, that kind of thing, be judged. And so they call me, and I was like, well, I should do something about that.
Yeah.
So I did. I started this page, and you can call me 24/7 if you just need to get something off your bag. Just let someone know to get it out that you saw this craft or this ghost, maybe whatever it might be. I've got quite a bit of experience with all of it. So,
yeah.
And like I said before, I'm no expert, but I have dealt with a lot of these things a lot more than a lot of people on this planet. So I can kind of help walk you through it a little bit as best I can. And basically, it's just somewhere to vent.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
And I've people don't really think about it very often, but I mean, you keep something like that bottled up, it can really mess with a lot of people, and people actually end up committing suicide.
Yeah.
Because of these things, and I've actually prevented a couple of those.
Well, that's a very generous offer, and everybody take him up on it because he's serious about it. This is as close to an expert as you can possibly find. And again, I just encourage you to go find him online, connect. This is how these things get solved. This is how the information flows from one person to another.
This is how we keep from being shocked when it actually happens.
And this is how we keep those plateless cars away from us.
Or closer.
At a little bit of a distance. Unless there's a cop lighting us up from behind, then they can come zoom by.
Go motorcycle guys.
All right, guys. Appreciate it. Y'all have a good night.